Hey, what's up, y'all? Y'all good? I hope so. Listen, y'all, let's get into episode 3 of Under the Bridge. And first of all, I want to thank everybody who has been watching these reviews. Y'all, I really appreciate it. I really do. So, episode 3 is called Blood Oath. And the episode description reads, upsetting news shakes the small town of Victoria, and as rumors surface, Rebecca and Cam reconnect. In the past, Reena enters Josephine's mafia fantasy world. Under the Bridge is based on actual events. Certain elements have been fictionalized or invented for dramatic purposes. And in this episode, they do a lot of present and then flashing back. So I'm going to do the present first, then do the flashback, okay? So, remember at the end of episode 2, Josephine and Dusty took Rebecca under the bridge where the girls jumped Reena. But little did Dusty know Josephine said that she stayed back and waited for Reena to come from under the bridge because she didn't want her to think that she could get away with the lies she told. And she told Rebecca that she pushed Reena over the railing. And Dusty didn't know that. Reena's parents, they started getting those strange calls again. And Officer Cam walked in while Dusty was making that call. And that's when Officer Cam got the 1018 call that they found Reena and she was DEAD. While Josephine was at Connors with Rebecca, they saw all the breaking news on the TV that they found the body of the missing girl. And Josephine was like, wait, she's DEAD? And I'm like, girl, she couldn't fly. Like, what did you think was going to happen? So now we enter episode 3, and the scene opens with Cam's dad telling Reena's family that they found Reena and he needs the dad to come, down and identify the body. He says he can't do it. He's too emotional. So the mom said she'll go. So we get back over to the party, and all of the guys are shocked by the news. Rebecca, she leaves out the back. Josephine and her flunkies, they head into the kitchen. Oh yeah, and Dusty, she walked in while they were watching the news report, so she headed to the kitchen with the rest of the girls. So one of the girls says she told everybody to stop, so how did she end up DEAD? Dusty says, ask Joe. Joe says, I didn't KILL her. She just exaggerated a little. But she didn't really think she was DEAD. And Dusty is looking at Joe like she had lost her mind. And she wanted to know why was Joe going around telling everybody that she did it. Joe says that Reena probably took herself out to make her look bad. And they're like, girl, come on, she ain't do all that. So now Joe is acting real nervous. I don't know if she did it or not, or if she was just exaggerating like she said. But she's a little too nervous for me. Maybe she's nervous because she shouldn't have told, that story like that, trying to impress people like she was so big or bad. Or if she really did it. And I refuse to read into this story because I just want to watch it unfold. So Joe tells the girls that they can't trust nobody, don't talk to nobody, just go back out into the party and act cool. So when Rebecca left, she had called Officer Cam, and she told her that Josephine did it. Officer Cam came over to Rebecca's, and she told her that Josephine did it. But Officer Cam says she didn't. She says she was at the youth house. She beat curfew. Josephine signed in about 11 something, so she has an alibi. Rebecca wants to help, but Officer Cam says she doesn't need her help. She needs Rebecca to stay out of it because it is an active investigation. Rebecca tells Cam that she can't. Like, you can't stop me. She says she's a journalist. Now, Cam is confused because she thought Rebecca came back to write a book. And she wants Rebecca to go back to New York. Since she wanted to be out of Cam's life so bad. Which Rebecca lets her know she's writing about this situation now. And Cam, she ain't got time for her. She's like, listen, I just watched them pull her body out of the water. So Rebecca says, and you don't think about how that might affect me, watching a kid's body get pulled out of the water? And Cam want to know, why should she give two F's about that? And you can hear Rebecca walk out the house, and Cam realizes that she messed up. And I think this may have something to do with Rebecca's brother who passed away. Now we see the boy who walked into the bedroom in the first episode where Rebecca was, when they was at Connor's party when she needed to take a breather after hearing everything that Josephine, said to her earlier in the day about Reena. And his name is Warren. He came in to get his bag and he saw that Rebecca looked a little flustered, so he gave her a drink. Then he left with his girlfriend. So now him and his girlfriend are at her house because he needs to wash laundry. As she's putting the clothes in the washing machine, she notices that a couple of his clothes has blood stains on them. She looks nervous, but she doesn't say anything, and he just looks at her and pours bleach over the clothes. Now we're down at the morgue, where the mom, she has come down to identify the body. They give her time with her daughter, and she notices a burn in between her eyes, and that's what Josephine said that she did to Reena. Now back at school, Warren's girlfriend is asking another girl named Marissa, what happened down there. And she said, we just jumped her, that's all. We didn't even know who Reena was. So Samara, which is the girlfriend's name, asked if Warren did anything. But the girl, she didn't say nothing. She just looked away. So now Rebecca has gone, over to see Josephine. And Joe is asking Rebecca about New York, and that when she gets there, God is going to be so impressed by what she did. Rebecca says, so that's why you told me you took her out? You don't have to pretend with me. Josephine is looking at Rebecca like, how does she know? But she says, well, it was my idea to get rid of her. And since she thinks this is going to mess up her chance of going to New York, she tells Rebecca that she can take her to New York. She can just drop her off anywhere. They don't even have to be friends. Rebecca stops her and lets her know, Joe, I know what it's like to be angry and hurt and not know what to do with that. But you must know who got rid of Reena if you keep saying that she's only DEAD because of you. And Josephine gonna say that she ain't no rat. Because y'all, this girl really thinks she a part of the mafia. So Rebecca let her know, I can't write a book filled with lies. And if you can't tell me, I can't take you to New York. Josephine gets upset, calls Rebecca a liar, and walks away crying and in her feelings. Now we're back at the morgue. And, they're doing an autopsy on Reena. They found numerous particles of debris in her hair, her nasal cavity, contusions through the back of her skull and through her earlobe. The coroner said that her official cause of DATH is drowning. But she suffered so many serious injuries that she would have passed away with those alone. But with the severity of her injuries, the police feel like there may have been a second attack. The chief finds it odd that the dad didn't come down and view the body. So he wants someone to look a little deeper into him, because he feels like this type of attack, from his experience, is usually done by a family member. And since Reena did call home, the dad could have went to pick her up. They could have gotten into it and it just turned bad. Like, the chief has the dad on his radar as a possible suspect. So now Rebecca is at the diner taking notes for her book, and Warren walks in and he asks the attendant if they had any food left over. He didn't have any money, but he cleaned up like he did the last time. Rebecca overheard him and thought his parents didn't cook much, but he told her that he'd been by himself for a couple of months now because his dad met someone in Vegas and hasn't been back. So Rebecca offered to buy him something to eat as a thank you for the drink he gave her the other night. And after that, she got back to take her notes. Then she left to attend Reena's vigil. And there are all types of news reporters there, getting all kinds of stories from the students. Rebecca saw Raj, Reena's uncle, and shares with him that, her family went through something similar. And she lets him know that he is brave for even being there. And she gives him her card. Officer Cam sees, and she walks over and tells Rebecca that they need to have a talk. So Rebecca meets up with Cam, like she said, and Rebecca shows Cam a photo of her, Cam, and Gabe when they were younger. And she says that she feels so weird, being back on the island because it feels haunted. And she apologized for just up and leaving, but she was going through so much with her brother passed, and she didn't feel like it was right for Cam to give up her life for her. But Cam doesn't feel that way. So they get past that awkward moment, and Rebecca tells Cam that she looks pretty cool in civilian clothes. And Cam notices that a lot of people don't care for the uniform, or more so the 5-0. Rebecca jokes with her and says, "That's probably why people feel more comfortable talking to me than to you, Officer Cam." And Cam mentions how chummy Rebecca and Reena's Uncle Raj are. And she noticed that Rebecca got his number. Rebecca says that she could be useful to Cam in that way, since certain people will talk to her that won't talk to Officer Cam. Rebecca gets up and starts playing some music and pulls Cam on the floor. Even though she refuses, Cam dances a little, but when she notices that people are watching them get so close, she walks off the floor and goes to the restroom. Rebecca follows her and they start making out, and I was like, I knew it was something deeper with them. So Cam is at work with a hangover, but her brother brings her a file about Manjit, that's Reena's dad. And it shows that he got into some type of trouble or something in the past, but his file was wiped clean like a week ago, which was a week before Reena passed. So Cam gets up to leave and he's like, "You know they're not going to talk to you about this." And she says, "I know, but it's not going to be me who's talking." And we see that she took the file to Rebecca. And Rebecca says if she helps Cam, Cam has to give her something for her book. So then Rebecca meets up with Raj and says, that she can't believe that he lives with his family, because if she's with hers longer than 24 hours, she about to lose her mind. But he says, he's just there until he gets his real estate license. And he wonders why she's there. And that's when she tells him that she's there writing a book about young girls in Victoria, and that a lot of them knew Reena. But she's trying to decide if she should include Reena in her book. That's when Raj realizes why she really asked him to go walking. So he wanted to know what Rebecca expected him to tell her. She passed him the file and says, "You can tell me about this, because the police and reporters are going to dig through this and paint your family to be whatever they want." And she's speaking from experience. And she tells him, "Maybe if you tell me, I can help you get your story out there the right way and protect your family." Now we're over at the diner with Warren, Kelly, and Joe. And Joe's face is how it usually look, annoyed. But Samara works there and she's cleaning, and she sees Kelly, whispering in Warren's ear. So Samara gets upset and walks over and says, "Anything you can say to him, you can say to me." And Kelly says, "I doubt it," and tries to play in the girl's face and tell her that they through eating so she can take their place. Now, Kelly, ma'am, Samara actually has a job, while you, on the other hand, don't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. So Samara tells Kelly that she on break and she can do it herself, and she walks out. So Warren looks at Kelly like, "Why did you do that?" And he chases, after Samara and tells her to forget about Kelly. She just being an idiot. So Samara tells him, "Marissa told me what you did under the bridge." Now Warren, when she said that, he has this terrified look on his face until Samara says, "Why would you kick a girl? You didn't even know her." And then it looked like he breathed a sigh of relief. Now I really got my good eye on Warren. So Warren, he pulls the sympathy card and says things are really hard. His dad's trailer is locked up and he has nowhere to go. So Samara lets him come over to her place. I don't know where her parents are, but there was nobody at that house. Warren tries to talk to Samara, but she tells him that she doesn't feel like he's being honest with her. And since Samara has really been there for Warren, he tells her that he feels like he can trust her. And that night, after Marissa and Dimitri left from under the bridge, he went back and he saw something. So he puts in a Spice One CD and plays 187. And he said that's what he saw. Now we're finna get into the flashback part of the episode, okay? So in the flashback, we're going back 4 months with Reena's dad taking her door off her room because she snuck out the house. And they were worried about her. Reena says she was at Seven Oaks and that her friends can stay out all night. But her parents trying to tell her, "Girl, that ain't good." At least you got parents that care about you. Reena screams, grab her bag, and she runs back over to Seven Oaks house, right? She hanging out with Dusty. She asks where was Joe. Dusty let her know that she was going to go hang out with her later and if she wanted to go. And of course she did. So they meet up with Joe and her crew at something like a salvage yard or something. At least that's what it looked like to me. And Joe is irritated. So she asks Kelly, what is that bee doing here? Then Warren walks up and talks to the girls, but he's really there to get jumped into the crypts. Reena was scared. She didn't know what was going on. Joe, she loved it because y'all know she wanted to be in the mafia. But she was mad at the same time because they won't let girls in. And so that's when she comes up with them making up their own game, which was the CMC. And then that's when they do the blood oath. And their oath is you never betray the family. So Joe and Kelly, they do the slice first and dab it up. Then Reena jumps up all excited, talks on me next, me next. But Joe tells her she can't do it. She has to prove herself first. So Reena is at home being a rebellious teen, blasting her music, trying to annoy her parents because they took the door off her bedroom. She feels like her parents don't care, what she likes, who her friends are. And the mom says that she's changing because, she's been hanging out with them Seven Oak girls all summer. The dad, on the other hand, he tries to compromise and he tells Reena to invite her friends over so they can get to meet them. The mom, she ain't here for it. But the dad insists. So Reena, agrees, but she doesn't want any Indian food. She wants real soda, Chapman's cookie dough ice cream, and the dad suggests pizza and fries. And even with them trying to compromise with Reena, she still has an attitude. And I know if that was my big mama, Reena would have had a room right over there at Seven Oaks with the rest of her little friends. So Reena goes over to Seven Oaks and asks the girls, if they wanted to have dinner with her parents. Joe laughs in her face and asks her, now why would we want to have dinner with your parents? Reena says they'll buy us whatever we want, like literally. It's a big house and we'll have fun. Joe is being her usual sarcastic and nasty self. And for some reason, Reena can't see it. Like Reena, Joe and Kelly do not like you. Dusty does, but she's intimidated by Joe too. Dusty has that go along to get along type of energy. So Joe says, you really want us to come, huh? Reena, she just a cheesing, and she says, yeah, why not? Then Joe looks down at her shoes and asks Reena, where did she get them? And those were the boots that Raj bought her for her birthday, that night that she was sneaking out. Reena says her uncle bought them and that they were Steve Madden. So Joe says, yeah, fine, sure. We'll come meet your stupid parents. Then she looks over to her top flunky, Kelly, and says, yeah, it'll be fun. And Kelly does this sneaky nod because she already know what's up. Joe is about to be the demon that Reena's dad called her. Now we're finna go back to the present because it ties in with this part. So over at Seven Oaks with Joe, Kelly, and Dusty, they have some clothes they throwing around. Not sure where they got it from, but Joe has this dress that she's about to try on. But she tells Kelly, maybe you should try it on since you're giving googly eyes to Warren. But then Joe walks off to try on the dress. Dusty says, you like Warren? And Kelly was like, yeah, so? But Dusty wants to know, what about Samara? And Kelly says she won't be with him for long. Then Joe comes out with the dress on. She says, wait, I need some shoes. But when she gets in the closet, she freezes up and calls Kelly. So Kelly and Dusty jump up to go to the closet. And the camera pans down to some muddy black boots with blood on them, which are Reena's. And Joe asks, how? Like, why? And Kelly looks over to Joe with this insidious grin and says, I did it for you. And I'm like, girl, what? You did what for her? Like, steal the boots off a DAD girl? Or are you the 187er that Warren was referring to? And did he help you or something? It's like, how did he get the BLOD on his clothes? Like, this is crazy. So now we got Joe, Warren, and Kelly. We got to figure out which one it was. But there were two things that stood out to me in this episode. The first one, while Reena was inviting the girls to meet her parents, all I could think is that Reena was not good when it came to reading negative energy, and she had a habit of name dropping, so to speak, and not seeing that every time she did that, Joe would tense up. Like I said in the review for the first episode, Joe came off as one of those girls who did not like girls who had more than she did. She got annoyed when Reena said she had the new Biggie CD, and she did it again in this scene when Reena said that her house was big. Remember, Joe doesn't have a house or a family. When Reena said her uncle bought the boots, Joe doesn't have anybody to buy things for her. That's why she steals. And Reena said the boots were Steve Madden. Now you want a brand drop. And she was not noticing all the facial expressions and the energy that Joe was giving her. And the second thing is, Reena really felt like her parents were being overbearing when, all they were trying to do was protect her, which a lot of teens go through those feelings. But the bittersweet thing about some other parents is that they get to say next time. You know what I mean? Like, Reena's parents won't have a situation where she messes up real bad and they could tell her, well, hopefully this won't happen next time, because there's no next time. It won't be a next time, and that's really sad. But yeah, y'all, that was episode 3 of Under the Bridge. Please get down in the comments and let me know what you thought about the episode. And please remember, if you are familiar with this story, please do not leave any spoilers in the comments. Thank y'all. Please like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to y'all later.